The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning to some of you. Thanks for joining in. Let's give this a few more minutes so people can still join. I know there's some other events happening, so we'll be a little bit patient. Thank you. Now, before we begin the presentation and the actual webinar, I just want you guys to be aware of some ground rules. First of all, this is a recorded session, and we will make the recording available to you via email once this is done. You can obviously share it or listen to it later. Second, you will all be muted for the time being, but that doesn't mean that we're not taking dialogue. So feel free to ask any questions in the chat box. We will answer all of them at the end of the session. And third, this will be obviously in English, and you guys will be receiving a summary and questionnaire at the end of after the webinar, so that all feedback will be taken into consideration for as precious as it is. Thank you. I will now introduce or let Cesar take the microphone, and let's just start.
Hi, everyone. Probably there are a few others to join, but we will let them join along the way. First of all, hi and welcome. My name is Cezar Bodalo. I'm the chair of the APMP Romania Chapter, and I will introduce the first topics that we will discuss. We are presenting today our very first webinar. Excited, a bit nervous, to be honest, to bring to your attention a short introduction about what APMP represents, who APMP Romania Chapter is, and what we've been up to so far. And the large topic that will be discussed today, executive summaries connecting people. Horia Duca, my colleague, will present some key aspects to account for when writing executive summaries for successful proposals. And we have a guest speaker, Kelson Forsgren, is here to complement Horia's message and share some real case examples from his vast experience. Now, a bit about APMP. This is a professional organization that was established in the US back in 2002. And it is a professional association for bid peers in this industry. At that time, APMP was a volunteer-run organization, and only in the past few years, dedicated staff was assigned to manage the organization. Its mission is to provide users with the means to obtain acknowledgement for their professional status. This is done through the widely recognized APMP certification program. And moreover, APMP connects peers throughout the industry, and it facilitates the exchange of best practices in bid and proposal management. I want to also emphasize, this is equally important, that APMP gives access to a large array of learning resources, such as this webinar intends to be in the next topic. To give you an idea of the APMP flavor, here are some key facts. Worldwide, there are more than 8,300 members. This is a snapshot of 2018. Probably there are more members for sure, actually. And as you may figure, most of the members reside in the US, and the rest are international members. Now, APMP Romania has high bars to reach. Here is a chart of the largest 5 APMP chapters worldwide, ranked by the number of members. The largest one, surprisingly, it's in the UK, and 3 others are from the US, in Washington, DC, Chicago, and Boston, and in between, somewhere Australia and New Zealand. The professionals that are part of the APMP come from various industries, but the majority are proposal managers, while the rest of the colleagues are in business development, capture management, consulting, and graphics. Now, all these roles benefit differently from being part of the APMP. There was a survey conducted recently about the things they appreciate most, and this is a ranking of those. The first one, and almost unanimously, was the APMP certification. This is the widely recognized industry certification program. Many of us are already certified. The next one is the apmp.org website. You gain access to it by being an APMP member, and the value is that you have access to APMP's body of knowledge. The next one is a yearly event, the Bid and Proposal Con, where proposal professionals worldwide reunite for different events. This year it took place in Oregon, Florida, Orlando, Florida, and the new thing is that for the first time next year we will have a bid and proposal con in Europe. It's planned for March next year, and it will take place in Amsterdam. The fourth benefit is the APMP resources, webinars, articles, best practices that are available once you gain APMP membership. And the last one is represented by the APMP chapter events, such as this webinar intends to be. Now, I will briefly talk about our chapter, the Romania chapter. This is one of the newest APMP's chapters, and it was established beginning of this year. And it is meant to represent a local presence for Romania, of course, and a way to be in the proximity of Central and Eastern European APMP members. The APMP Romania chapter efforts are coordinated by the board members. I am the chapter chair, and together with Gabriela Shelaru, vice chair, Andreea Preda, secretary and treasurer, Horia Duca, responsible for programs, events, and meeting planning, and two designated committee heads, Daciana, you heard her earlier, she is responsible for membership and marketing, and Mihai Kitsu, who is coordinating the process of legally registering our association in Romania. So we are all coordinating our efforts towards supporting the members. Okay, now what we've been up to so far. First of all, we established our objectives and organized ourselves in different committees with the aim to support the members. We created our online presence. We are available on LinkedIn, so make sure that you check our LinkedIn page and get our updates. We defined a plan for the chapter events, this webinar being the first of a series to come. And we are working towards finalizing the legal registration of our chapter. Next, we will focus on growing our community, and we will reach out to new potential members. I believe we will all benefit. We will be able to leverage the experience of more peers and foster an environment that help us grow professionally. Also, we will organize our first live event. It is scheduled for October, November this year. Be sure that you check our LinkedIn page for the updates on this. Now, I'm ending my part for this webinar by inviting you to join our community in case you are not already part of APMP, and experience for yourself what are the benefits that bring most value to you. Now I'm handing it over to Horia, and enjoy the rest of the webinar. Thank you.
So thank you, Cezar, and hello everyone, and welcome to this webinar. My name is Horia Duca, and I am APMP Romania's Programs and Events Chair. Today, we're going to discuss about connecting people through executive summaries, and along the way, I will share some tips and tricks that could help up with this challenging but intriguing task. Before starting, a few words about myself. During the past 13 years, my career revolved pretty much around the field of proposal management. I started working as a procurement expert for the Romanian Ministry of Interior, and after 5 years, I've switched sides and chose to manage proposals for national and multinational IT companies. During these past 8 years, I've managed proposals of all shapes and sizes for projects funded by public and private organizations from EMEA to APAC. Also, as of last year, I am a certified professional within the APMP community, aiming to obtain the professional certification this year. On a more personal note, I recently started self-studying for Arabic. I'm a huge fan of sci-fi books. I have social media anxiety, except of course for LinkedIn, and I hate mosquitoes. That should be enough about me, and if you haven't fallen asleep already, allow me to switch back to the topic of this presentation. Before discussing why and how should people get connected through executive summaries, I would like to share with you some interesting results from a survey taken in 2018 regarding how UK buyers view their bidders. According to this survey, buyers agree that almost half of the bidders should be ashamed of the quality of their almost half of bidders don't do themselves justice in their proposals. 40% should be ashamed of the quality of their proposals. 45% seems disorganized when producing proposals. 69% of proposals fail to show understanding of business objectives, and almost 3/4 of buyers think proposals are too salesy. Although the statistics show the ugly truth of proposal management, they could be a starting point for any company willing to improve its proposals. And this starting point could mean creating better connections with your customers through engaging executive summaries. To be honest, I chose to name this presentation Executive Summary Connecting People because one thing that most of the time is overlooked when writing an executive summary is its power to connect people. And this is one of its major roles. Some people might argue that proposals are formal documents between companies and therefore they should try to connect companies rather than people. Although this might sound true, companies are just some faceless, shapeless entities which get their impressive revenues or profit margins from the people behind them. If people get connected, companies will get connected too. If we have this mindset when we start writing our executive summary, the battle is half won. Also, with this mindset, I've launched a quick poll within this webinar through which I would like to know your perspective on what do you think connects you with your customer in an executive summary. Please try to vote. You have 30 seconds from now. So 5 more seconds. Okay, perfect. So thank you very much for your vote. So we have 24% that think clear business value is important, 59% think that solid structure and clear message is also important, and 18% bet on personal value and emotion. Okay, so in all fairness, all the answers are true, and the connecting executive summary is one that combines all of those points into one homogeneous text. But let's go through each of them, analyze them in a much deeper way, and understand how they connect you with the customer. As you may imagine, the clear business value refers to the win theme of any executive, and the win theme, is the centerpiece of any proposal. If the win theme does not provide true value to a customer or challenges him to find out more, then your chances to win that bid are dropping. The biggest challenge one could have when developing a win theme is how to connect with the customer and how to raise his interest. One of the biggest errors I've seen in executive summaries is replacing the win theme with something like, "We are delighted to submit this proposal," or "We are excited to share our view," and so on. People think this wording is in fact a good way to connect with customers, but believe it or not, it has just the opposite effect. Imagine that you are on a day off and you want to wash your car. Then, out of nowhere, you have been told to go home, wash the dishes, go to the mall to buy a present for a kid, and go back to the car station and get your car that is being washed. What will you say when you're going to return home? "Darling, I am delighted that instead of enjoying my morning coffee while the car was being washed, I had to come home to wash the dishes, go to the mall, wait 15 minutes in line to get a present for a kid that doesn't even appreciate it." On a more serious note, when I was attending an APMP conference in UK several years ago, I remember an interview with a buyer representing a public organization in England, and when it came to the executive summary topic, she was quite annoyed by the "We are delighted to submit this proposal" wording, because it has become such a cliche and all it does is disconnecting the reader from the useful information that might follow. As said earlier, if the win theme does not provide true value to a customer and does not challenge him to find out more, then your chances to win the bid are dropping. When developing win themes for your proposals, there are 3 key elements to connect with your customer. Quantifiable benefits, something like reduced costs or increased productivity or improve customer satisfaction. Feature, through what will that quantifiable benefit be achieved? And timeline, when will the customer expect to achieve the quantifiable benefit? The structure of a winning theme is fairly simple, and it can be based on the following example. Customer can, quantifiable benefit, within the time frame using feature. A quick tip here. In your winning theme, try to avoid words like will instead of can, because this sounds to any customer like a commitment, and during the implementation of any project, there are countless variables that could affect in a negative way the quantifiable benefits. Not achieving these benefits, although you seem to committed to them in your proposal, might have legal consequences. A good example of a good winning theme could be: this example contains the three key elements: quantifiable benefit, feature, and timeline. And I'm sure that if Darth Vader is the CEO of this company, he would surely want to find out more. Some of you might ask the following question: how could I determine the quantifiable benefits and the timeline for this new project? The answer lies in your company's past experience and performance in delivering projects similar to the one you have. You can use the quantifiable benefits of your previous projects to benchmark the one in your newest project. If your company does not have any experience, perhaps the proposal team should think again if this project is still worth pursuing. Now, as soon as you drafted the first version of your winning theme, there are some tips and tricks you can use to refine it until it reaches its final form. Here are 3 tips and tricks which I use when refining a win theme. The first one is the length rule. It is said that a good straight-to-the-point win theme should be no longer than 15 to 20 words. Although this might sound odd, studies have shown that key messages have true power and meaning only when they do not contain neutral words that do not mean anything to the reader, or sophisticated words that might create confusion. Coming back to my previous example, the winning theme consists of 25 words. Are there neutral words in this example? Of course. Is there a way we can refine it? Definitely. I can compress my initial win theme while keeping its same meaning as follows. I counted the words and currently there are 21. Is there any way to make it better? Sure there is. Here we have 19 words. Is there any way this can be shortened? Possibly yes. The idea behind this rule is to keep in your winning theme only the words that have meaning and impact to your reader. The second trick you can use is pretty much an alternative to the breadth rule, and this to the length rule, and this is the breadth rule. Studies have shown that on average, when someone is speaking out loud, the number of words you can say before losing your breath is around 20. To check if your win theme does not have neutral or confusing words, just read it out loud and check if you lose your breath before finishing it. The last tip is to take your time, write and rewrite. Although this statement might seem obvious, we must not overlook that any win theme can be improved, as you have seen from the example in the length rule. I will stop here with my tips and tricks, and as a conclusion, a win theme should provide true value and should challenge the reader to find out more. Next connector is the solid structure and clear message. For this connector, I ask you to bear in mind the following fact. Our executive summaries are in general read by people, primarily C-level executives, which hold the power to influence or to decide the award of a specific project. These people are extremely busy, and due to the massive amount of information they receive every day, they have mechanisms to filter the information that finally reaches them. As you may imagine, executive summaries are no exceptions to these filter mechanisms. One of the most important mechanisms is the 10-second rule and is related to diagonal reading. In diagonal reading, readers give the content a first pass by, reading it passively, waiting for something to really pop out at them. If in 10 seconds they will not find anything to draw their attention, then their position on your executive summary will be neutral at most. So what will decision makers look for within those 10 seconds? Compelling message, compelling facts, images or charts, and prices. A quick tip here. The average person reads about 240 words per minute, whereas a diagonal reader reads, or perhaps actually scans, closer to 15 words per second, or about 900 words per minute. For this reason, it is important to use simple but powerful words and graphics in your executive summaries. Coming back to the 10-second rule, I would like to share with you a structure that could help your executive summary pass the 10-second rule mechanism of your customer and challenge them to read more than headings and keywords. Along the way, I will share some cautions or some tips to help you with this structure. First thing you should start with is the win theme, which I strongly suggest to highlight. Since we went through it in the past 5 minutes, I will not insist on it. The winning theme should be followed by your understanding of the customer's pain points. As a word of caution, do not just copy and paste what you find in the customer's documents, because it will not have any meaning and you will disconnect your customer from your executive summary. As a tip, keep in mind that beside what is written in the customer's documents, your client might also face other pain points, and these might not be expressively stated in their documents. If you have a good relationship with the customer and you are aware of those pain points, it would be a good idea to iterate them in your executive summary, because that will give you an edge over the competition. After your understanding of the customer's pain points, you should describe how exactly is your solution going to help the client overcome those challenges. From my experience, this section should be of great importance to any bidder, because here you can indirectly raise doubts in the customer's mind about a certain competitor. We also need to remember that this is a double-edged sword. Your competition will also try to raise doubts about your company in their executive summary, and for this reason, apart from ghosting your competition, you should also try to mitigate any weakness you know you might have. A word of caution here. If you're going to claim that you are better than your competition, try to provide your customers with proofs from independent studies or analysis. It is not enough to claim something without backing it up, because the customer will not perceive you as an honest bidder. As a tip, provide the customers with links to the studies or analysis that demonstrate your claims, just in case the customer would want to find out more. After you've shown how you are going to help the customer overcome its challenges, it's time to provide more added value to your executive summary. This means other services that are included in your proposals, which were not asked by the customer, or even a roadmap to your solution. Next, you could insert a pie chart displaying how does your solution adhere to the customer's requirements. As a word of caution, do not state that your solution is 100% compliant with what the customer is asking, because it will look dishonest and clients will try to avoid such bidders. Last thing you should have in your executive summary is a conclusion, which may contain the price for the project, and a call to action, if the customer's documents do not state anything about demos or presentation sessions. Out of fear, people tend to eliminate the call to action from their executive summary because they are afraid to ask the customer for a meeting where they can present in more details or demonstrate the capabilities of their solution. But what is there to lose? In the worst case scenario, the client will see an engaged bidder who really wants to win the project, and this might have a serious impact on your winning chances. Besides these sections, I would strongly encourage you to add callouts to your executive summary, because here you can insert short information and relevant information about your experience in the customer's industry, customer testimonials, or even a summary of one section of your executive summary. Without prolonging this topic even more, this is a structure which can pass the 10-second rule mechanism of your customer, and this can challenge them to find out more. But again, do not forget, it is important to use simple but powerful words and images. Last connector is represented by personal value and emotions. I'm going to launch another poll within this webinar, in which I kindly ask your opinion about the following questions. Are customers willing to pay more for something that they originally agreed? Please vote. Please cast your vote. You have 30 seconds. So 5 seconds to go. So thank you for your votes. It seems like it's pretty much a tie, but so we have 55% said yes and 45% said no. Okay, So to find out the answer to this question, I would like to share with you a study conducted by Google and a company called CEB in 2014. According to this study, researchers found out that without question, personal value or emotional value overwhelmingly outweigh logic and reason in driving purchase decision. Here are some results of this study. Personal value has twice as much impact as business value does. 68% of buyers who see a personal value will pay a higher price for a service. Only 8.5% of buyers who do not see personal value will pay a higher price for a product. And 71% of buyers who see personal value will purchase a product. The data in this study shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone, but what it should do is come as an important reminder to people that the reason that people are buying are usually attached more closer to the emotional center rather than their rational thinking. Now it is clear that emotions influence B2B buying decisions, but be aware that not all of them can have the same degree of impact. For instance, sadness is typically a deactivating emotion, while sorrow tends to shut down your audience. Also, it's worth mentioning that not all emotions resonate with your reader. It is the proposal team job to explore and understand personal needs, professional goals, daily frustrations, and values of the reader and translate them into emotional triggers. Here are 3 of the most powerful emotional triggers through which you can connect with your B2B audience. Excitement. This trigger was used by General Electric in 2016 when, under their Unimpossible Mission slogan, they demonstrated how a snowball can survive in a bath of molten metal. They've done this by housing the snowball in a General Electric superalloy casing. I'm going to share with you the video for General Electric. Just bear with me 1 second. And Cesar and Tatiana or Kelson, please let me know if you can or cannot see it because everyone is on mute.
It's loading.
Okay. Okay, so now I just want you to imagine that you're a customer and in their executive summary, General Electric will refer to this video. What would your first impression be? In all honesty, when I first watched this ad, I thought that these guys are quite amazing. The second most powerful trigger is safety. This trigger is very important for decision makers because their jobs, their reputations, and their livelihoods are on the line. Sometimes the most powerful emotion at play is safety because customers want to be assured that what they have today will be there tomorrow. The third and final trigger is anxiety. One of the most efficient ways to make an audience abandon their status quo is to create a sense of fear by dramatizing how inadequate or dangerous a commonly accepted approach is. To have a better understanding of the impact of anxiety in the customer's mind, I would like to show you another ad made this time by Adobe, my personal favorite, called Do You Know What Your Marketing Is Doing?, in which they take advantage of the anxiety trigger to challenge customers on their status quo. Again, Cesar, I would need your help to let me know if the video can or cannot be seen.
Sure.
Want to see that it's still
Yeah,
loading?
it's loading.
Yeah. Okay, so the idea behind this ad is that most campaigns are poorly analyzed, optimized, and executed. Not because the marketing people are lazy or clueless, it's because they are just not that efficient and because they follow trends which might have a negative impact on the business. The goal behind this ad is to raise doubts in the minds of CEOs, CFOs, CMOs, and so on about the status quo of their company. Since I am closing fast to the end of my time, that was it for the last connector. And before ending this topic, I would like to acknowledge that there are no exact recipes for creating the perfect executive summary. Despite this, what we should try to do when writing or reviewing an executive summary is to connect with our reader through clear business value, clear message, and personal value and emotions. Thank you very much for your time, and I will leave our guest speaker, Kelson, continue this discussion with the purposes and the trends of executive summaries. Kelson, please lead the way.
Thank you, Horia. Great presentation. Thank you. That was kind of fun to watch those videos and to see how they can make a point of emotional connection and value with people. It's kind of fun. Even seeing them the second time has been a lot of fun.
Thanks, Kelson.
Well, I wanted to introduce myself a little bit first before making my additional presentation to complement what Horia has talked about. My name is Kelson Forsgren. That's a pretty close representation of me. I'm happy to join you here on this first webinar for the APMP Romania chapter. I currently serve as the Director of Program Development for Shipley Associates, which is a global sponsor of APMP. And I currently am certified as well in APMP, and I'm certified at the foundation level. My schooling and training are in technical communication. So over the past 26 years in this work. I've written a variety of technical and business and proposal documents for a variety of commercial and government clients. And because of my current role, I work with an extensive network of proposal professionals from around the world. One item of interest about me, I am fluent in Spanish, as is my 19-year-old daughter. I learned Spanish in Argentina over 30 years ago, and she learned it in an immersion program in the public schools here in Utah in the United States. Yes, we do talk in Spanish occasionally at home. So I want to augment what Jorge has talked about already, especially regarding the value of the executive summary. First, I want to review how an executive summary can be used both externally for your customer and internally for your company. So first of all, externally, there are three things I want to talk about in particular. One, of course, is to help you sell your solution to your customer. It also provides a foundation for your customer to make your proposal easier to understand. And third, it actually can serve as a foundation for helping promote collaboration between you and your customer. So going back to selling your solution, here are a couple of components that are valuable to understand. Your executive summary can help make the connection for your customer about what their vision is and what your solution is and how they can achieve it. You're using the executive summary like Jorge talked about, where you can identify what customer needs are or pain points are, show how your solution will help them address those needs, include clear proofs, which is another point that Jorge brought up, because you just don't want to you cannot just say, yeah, we do that and we're the best at it, because that has no credibility. You have the opportunity as well in that executive summary to differentiate the quality and the value that you provide over your competition. That is sometimes something that's difficult to continue to do, but when we have a focus on that, we're able to help point out how things are better and counter anything that our customers may be doing. We also have the opportunity in our executive summary to show a next step. So with regard to the executive summary being a foundation for making the proposal easier to understand, if you're starting with an executive summary, those that are reading that can see what the content is going to be in your proposal. So they'll be familiar with it. They'll be able to identify sections that they want to go look at in particular based on what you've included and the order you've included it in an executive summary. We recommend, of course, emphasizing key value points or major touch points for the customer very early, so they'll also look for those things in the proof and in their response in the proposal. It will help, as I mentioned, if there's something that specifically interests a reader in your solution, it's emphasized in the executive summary, then they'll know where to find it in your proposal. And it provides context for a broad and wide audience. Sometimes your executive summary is pulled out of a proposal and distributed to multiple people so that multiple people can understand in that company what the decisions are being made and what solutions might be available to them. So a third point about promoting collaboration, again, some of the same things as talked about with the making it easier to understand. There's familiarity with the content, emphasizing key points. Those are all things that will trigger in your customer's mind now about how to potentially leverage working with you, whether it's awarding you a contract or continuing discussions. So it looks like those are the same things. And so my apologies, I'll get that cleared up for you. But the other thing is that the executive summary can be a possible tool to leave behind with your customer that can start the discussions about, okay, here's where we were, thank you for your proposal, let's kind of work together to help shape a solution that will be the best for what the customer wants to do. And they can lean on you as a trusted advisor in being able to go through that process. If you've been able to show value in what you can provide to the customer in your executive summary, have your proof points and you're discriminating activities and features and benefits for them, then they can see your value and then continue to talk with you, even though it may not result immediately in a proposal award. So those are some things regarding external purposes. Additionally, your executive summary can be of value internally for your company. So internally here, you can formulate and communicate strategy inside the company. You can transfer information to multiple people in a way that's intelligent and specific and articulate. And it also supports the development of a proposal in whoever's participating in creating content. So back on formulating and communicating strategy, an early executive summary, one that is prepared early in the process, especially after going through the efforts in the sales process with the customer, you can outline solutions or even potential alternatives, a variety of solutions that might be available in addressing the customer's needs. Anything that you've gathered regarding your competitors and how they might respond to the customer and how the customer may view your competitors' solutions, that's information that can be included in your executive summary in a way that you can highlight how things will be better than competitors. It includes what your win strategy is going to be, so it'll be able to help communicate that early. This is a tool that can help educate your senior management about what's going on and what the customer's looking for, how you're looking at addressing it, and ways that you're better than others. And it's also an opportunity if you have teaming partners going into a bid, it can provide to them also a summary of what's going on, what the win solution is, and things that they can add to the value of the proposal. Not just a technical piece, but what value can they add? So another value of the executive summary internally is to be able to transfer information. So as a tool, as a documented repository of some of these things that we talked about with strategy and competitive intelligence, etc. This is information that can be passed to others. And instead of people coming to you or coming to the salesperson only to ask about, so what's going on, what are we trying to do, this is a valuable tool to leverage that information for dissemination amongst a larger group of people. As it's linking solution to customer vision, that will help other people then understand what the customer is trying to do. And if they have ideas about achieving that vision, they can provide those suggestions as well. In the sales process, the last bullet there, the executive summary needs to be part of a continuing message being communicated to the customer. So there are activities that have occurred prior to a request for proposal coming out, and that information needs to be consistent with what's included in how you communicate with the customer, and then we'll also continue to support activities after the proposal is submitted with communication to customer. So there's a continuity of how you're communicating and the kind of communicate with your customer. The final thing about driving proposal development is it really helps the contributors and those that are contributing to the proposal, including your teaming partners. If you put together an executive summary in the template or in the style in which you want to, or the design in which you want to present the proposal, it can provide a model of what the final proposal is going to look like. And it'll probably and should include structural elements that will be mirrored in your proposal as well. So it provides strategic information that you'll want writers and contributors and subject matter experts to emphasize in their responses and what they're contributing to the proposal. And it helps to have a baseline for style, for how language is used, customer language is going to be introduced specifically there to help the writing team as well. They won't have the same background and information that occurs from that comes from the sales team, etc. But that can be provided as part of the executive summary early to those that are helping to prepare the executive summary. Okay, we have a question that has come from one of our participants on the call. Daciana, would you read that and direct accordingly?
Can we take that at the end of the presentation, please?
I guess we can. All right. Great. Okay. So to summarize then some of the external value of the executive summary and the internal. And I'd like to go to, I want to add some colored commentary on Horia's 3 points about clear business value, a clear message and structure, and personal value and emotion. Things that are valuable as far as what are connectors with people in an executive summary. In relation to how executive summaries are delivered, there are 3 ways that I wanted to highlight in particular about how they can be communicated and delivered. One is as a standalone deliverable, or something that's a glossy presentation document that's actually separate from the proposal and is delivered separately. Second is the most common practice, current practice, which is included as a proposal section. That's is then contiguous with the rest of the document. And the third one is developing an evolving area of multimedia and video. That's typically used in longer campaigns to help sway opinion over a longer period of time, shape opinion over a longer period of time. The executive summary then has a piece or a part or a portion of that campaign, and it's continuing with the themes and things that have been shown to the customer before, and they continue in the executive summary with specifics to their requirements, and then continue with post-proposal activity. So for things today, in each of these types of ways in which executive summaries are delivered, can reflect these 3 connectors on the left. I wanted to show you 2 examples of executive summaries that demonstrate the ability of the executive summary to stand alone as a valuable tool in communicating our message. The first one here is a proposal assessment summary. It's a report that Shipley Associates prepared. We conducted assessments on over 340 large and small proposals that spanned the world. They weren't centric in any one specific location. Were written in a variety of industries, so there was not just a focus on the defense industry, for example. But we evaluated each of those things, each of those proposals against specific best practices. 7 of them are included here in a radar diagram. Around the outside of this diagram, those best practices relate to compliance, responsiveness, strategy, competitive focus, quality of writing, visualization, and page and document design. So the purpose of the assessment was to evaluate how these proposals across the world measured up with these 7 proposal best practices. So this document that we created illustrates a common use of executive summaries that you might see for reports and surveys and other technical data. So on page 4 of this summary is a report that we detailed in a table here. Down the left side of the table are the 7 proposal best practices. Across the top of the table are various industries in which proposals were written and sent. We wanted to see if proposal quality differed between industry types. There's a little bit of variation there, but for the most part, things are pretty consistent. So in the middle of the table here are the average scores of proposals in that industry per proposal best practice. The green shade indicates a score that's within 20% of the benchmark. There's an industry benchmark list on the left there. If it's within 20% of the benchmark, it was rated green. The yellow shade indicates a score of between 20 and 40% of the benchmark, and the red shade indicates a score of more than 40% from the benchmark. And that area that requires the most work then to get up to standard. Notice that competitive focus, or the ability to differentiate our solution from a competitor's solution, was severely lacking across all types of proposals, reflected in proposal responses and in executive summaries. This is a continual problem, and we continue to see this problem, but we can combat that weakness, especially in an executive summary, which is a high visibility document or portion of our proposal, where we can highlight our discriminators and value to the customer and set the stage for them accepting or readily accepting our proposal. The final thing I'd like to show you is another executive summary that was a standalone. It's for the Cyber Command. It was the state of Utah in the United States bidding to the United States Air Force for establishing a new directorate or command at a location in Utah. The thing I wanted to highlight here is the value of things that might be catching in graphics that highlight what this state, for example, could offer, but also on the right side there. This is the first page with text after the cover. We used a focus or call out box that includes information that emphasizes value early to the customer. And with the skimming and scanning that readers do, that's something that they would look at quickly and could see values that would attract them or entice them to look more at the proposal and see how we can address their needs. So ways that we can quickly, visually help the customer understand value. Always a good thing to do in an executive summary. So those are the two examples I wanted to show from specific experience. And I think the videos that Horia showed earlier are good examples of multimedia and how that can be used to sway opinion and emotion and be able to encourage the customer to talk with us. So in wrap up, I wanted to echo the importance of these points on the left and of how important they are to connect with people, and showed a couple of examples of how that is important and will be valuable in executive summaries going forward. So thank you for this opportunity, and I turn it back now to you and to Daciana for follow-up questions.
All right. Well, thank you, Kelson, and congratulations for both Horia and Cesar as well. This has been a great run. We do have a question right now. So if the customer does not ask for an executive summary, should I include one? Now, which one of you would like to take that one?
So, Kelson, if you like, I can take up this question. So the answer would be definitely yes. Every proposal that you submit to your customers, even though they have not asked for any executive summary, should have an executive summary, because executive summaries pretty much are focused on the people that can influence or can make a decision to buy a product, a solution, or a service. So the idea is, yes, definitely try to draft or to send or to submit an executive summary along with your solution, because the people that are reading it, the C-level executives, might not be, let's say, specialists in, I don't know, IT or perhaps in the specific fields that you are proposing. So they're just interested to find out the benefits that they will have if they buy your solution. So yes, you should definitely have an executive summary in every proposal.
Thank you, Horia. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Now, guys, we're really over the time that we've established for this webinar. So if you have any other questions, go to our LinkedIn page and send them to us. we'd be happy to answer. As well, remember that there's going to be a survey coming in soon, so your responses will be greatly appreciated. It's obviously going to help us support our next events, and it will help us share the knowledge you need and want in the future. Thank you all for participating, and I guess I'm free to close this. Bye, everyone.
Thank you all, and have a
Thank
great
you
evening.
all.
Thank you. Bye.